Geico presents sharing versus oversharing. Yesterday, Cliff Sora shared a top 10 list of hot fusion restaurants, a vegan gluten-free mashup recipe, and a podcast featuring organic food trends. Oh, TMI. Too much internet information. That's oversharing. Cliff, Geico has something worth sharing with your friends. Like how on Geico.com you could save hundreds on your car insurance, update your policy, and report a claim. Gluten-free info that's easy to swallow. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Those Guys with your host, Matt Marrero, along with your other host,
Tristan Walter.
Yes, and today we're doing Dragon Ball Movie 4, Path to Power. Man, we're doing a lot of these recently. No, seriously. I mean, we've done about what? In the last, 2 weeks-ish, we've done 3 movies.
Yeah. 3 movies down, 4 more to go.
What?
And then we'll get our wish, right?
Oh, yes. All jokes aside, let's think of the movies, though, that we have to go. No. As a podcasting unit, because, Those Guys on the radio, we've done pretty much all the DBZ movies, but, we still have some stuff to do. So think about it, right? So we have to do Battle of Gods. I know you might be thinking, we already did it once. We did the theatrical version, right? So we have to do the DVD version. We have to do, when it comes out, which will technically be this summer-ish, Fukatsu no F. Right? So Fukatsu no F, that's 2. We have, I know, Dragon Ball Evolution. I know, it's okay. It's okay. It's all going to be okay now. I'm here. It's all okay. That's 3.
I'm not even going to give you an answer to that one.
Good.
You know I'm staring at you, daggers in my eyes through the phone.
It's okay. We can shit on it for as long as we want to.
Well, that works.
We can, yeah. So Evolution, Battle of Gods, Fukatsu no F. We're doing. So this is the 3rd one you said, right? So that's 3. We need one more. What we can do the one that was unofficial. I believe it was the Taiwanese, was it? We can do that one.
What?
You remember that one? It was Journey. It was Chinese. It was Journey to the West, but technically it looked a lot like. Yeah, that one. But it wasn't really Journey to the West because it basically was Dragon Ball. Right. Yeah.
I mean, I think technically GT had another. I don't know if it was just an. I think it was probably just an OVA.
I'm an idiot.
But
you're right. You're right. That's the special. We're very sorry, Chinese film.
I mean, we can do that too if you want, but
we can. But we can't have 8 Dragon Balls, Tristan.
Or can we?
Oh no, that's the plot in Dragon Ball Super.
Oh shit! Oh yeah! Oh god!
I can't wait for that. To be honest, that I'd want to do with you immediately. Even without a
definitely.
Dub. I'd fucking jump on that in a fucking heartbeat. But anyway, so talking about this movie, right?
Yeah.
This movie was long.
Yeah, compared to the others, yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, even just standard Dragon Ball movies, this movie was long.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z. I mean, you think about it, even the Dragon Ball Z movies are 45 to 50 minutes. So this movie was pretty freaking long. And I liked it, but damn. So this movie was nice and long, being 1 hour and 20 minutes. And, this movie, Path to Power, was actually, okay. So what's funny is, it was actually the last Dragon Ball film, or Dragon Ball Z film, until Battle of Gods. Now I know a lot of you might be sitting there thinking, that can't be right. Matt, you're stupid, and we hate you. And while those 2 things may be true, the idea, right? The fact, though, the truth, the actual facts, yeah, right. Let's just go on. I'm listening. No, the fact is that for us in America, right, we got them delayed, of course. So we got a lot of things out of order. So so in Japan, this was the last Dragon Ball movie. They got Wrath of the Dragon before this, even though that was Dragon Ball Z, movie 15. This 13. This was the last movie released in Japan. And it was released as, of course, as a retelling of the Dragon Ball anime because it was actually the 10th anniversary of the Dragon Ball anime.
Right.
So, yeah. So when they released this in, I remember on the air I said 95. Whoops, last episode. It was 96 that it was released, March 2nd, 1996, where it was released at Toei Anime Fair alongside the movie version of Neighborhood Story. So it's, and it's funny because you might be thinking, Matt, but there weren't so many other movies listed. Yeah, because it was an hour and 20 minutes. They couldn't quadruple feature this.
Right.
So yeah, it's a very interesting thing, I think, because technically for us we got it a lot later, right? But but in Japan it just came out in 96. We got it in 2003. So for us, it's just we got it with Mystical Adventure and Sleeping Princess, on that DVD box set thing. So for us, it's just like, oh yeah, that's what that is. But it's like, no, everyone. This movie came out a while ago. I mean, technically, it's funny because.
No, I'm trying to think of watching Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball on Toonami. Mm-hmm. Did Dragon Ball Z wrap up in 2003?
I'm going to check that for you right now. That sounds about right. But I'll check that for you while we talk about this movie. So while I'm checking that out, talk about how much you love this film.
Okay. No.
How much do you love this film?
Yeah, joking aside, I really did enjoy this one. Even though it's much longer than the other films, an hour and 20 minutes, you think it might, Dragon Ball's got a good story, but could they really, pull that off when all the other movies are so much shorter? It's no, they actually did a really good job with it. I feel like the pacing was actually very nice. It definitely had its good points with action, and it broke them up with little bits here and there that worked out very well.
One thing I want to mention that I enjoyed. I mentioned, how while this is a retelling, it's fully fleshed out. It's an hour and 20 minutes. But something interesting that I think about it is the voice actors that we know and love are in this movie, right? Because the voice actors from Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z are here. So it's really nice to hear some familiar voices. Because the cast that we had before in the first three films, which, yes, they were still some Funimation people, but still there were different, actors here and there. And while they did well, it's just really nice to hear the people that we grew up with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I definitely enjoyed that. So that was really fun to see, I think. Being able to kind of see that, happen.
Yeah. And, I especially liked how they opened it, and it was just looking out over, the land and Mount Pao and stuff like that, and it was talking, it talks about how it's a, mystical land, that kind of thing. It's these are where legends are born, and I'm that's, I don't know, it just kind of really struck me as that's a really nice opening because that's how it's kind of supposed to be. It's, the legend of the 7 magic Dragon Balls, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that tale you would hear, the elder or the grandparents or maybe even the parents, telling their kids or, brothers and sisters, telling each other about how, you collect up the 7 magic balls and, this amazing mystical dragon comes out and it'll grant you any wish that your heart desires.
Well, another good thing, too, that I want to give it to, who sadly he's retired, which is so sad that he's retired because I love him, Bryce Armstrong, the voice actor, which he retired, and it's funny because you know him. You might not know him by name, but I think we mentioned him on the show before, and if we haven't, well, we have to mention him now. He's been, not only has he been on Dragon Ball Z, has he been Captain Ginyu. He's Lord Slug.
Yes.
And then in the original Full Metal Alchemist, he's Tim Marco.
Yes.
And in Yu Yu Hakusho, a show that I know you love. Right.
Yes.
I love it too, but I know you love it. He's Mr. Tanaka, who's the original teacher, but the good one, not the asshole.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, not the asshole. He's the good teacher, the one that's actually on Urameshi's side. He rides him
the principal.
I'm sorry. Yes, the principal. Thank you.
Yeah.
Who's on his side because even though you might think, oh yeah, he's working him hard. He really likes Urameshi. He cares about him. Well, the other guy, I can't remember his voice actor, is an asshole.
Yeah.
Right. No. So he's a good guy. So. Also he was apparently, if you know these names, for some reason they don't appear to me in my head, Master Metamura, Topaz, and Kuroda. I don't know if those names ring a bell to you, but either way, also he apparently was on Barney and Friends. But anyway, right, I don't. It's here. It's listed.
Okay.
It's listed. But anyway. No. But yes. But I really do enjoy his voiceover work because he brings this power. He reminds me a bit of Peter Cullen, who's been the voice of, Optimus Prime, as well as the narrator for pretty much a lot of the older Toonami promos that you and I have both loved as children and still love today. Not even based on nostalgia, just based on his voice, Peter Cullen. Just, he could make fucking Gundam Seed sound fucking interesting. No, seriously. He can talk about, okay, if Dragon Ball Evolution aired on motherfucking Toonami today, right, I wouldn't watch it unless the fucking the promos were done by Peter Cullen. They'd have to fucking get him in and just be like, the movie that none of you wanted to see but is now on Toonami. Dragon Ball Evolution.
Okay, I would watch the promo, but nothing else.
Yeah, right? Only Toonami. Boop. Like, I would fucking be like, all right, I'll do it.
Right, like, I'm doing this.
Yeah, right? But getting into the movie, funnily enough, speaking of evolution, right, we've been talking about it a lot because, dear God, do we hate it. And we're remembering how much we've hated it. We reminisced the other day. But it's, how interesting is it when you reminisce and you sit there just on the couch, I mean, I was, and it was so blissful. It was like, oh, man, I hated that. It was like fond memories. Like, remember when you fucking hated that, Tristan? Like, it was, no, seriously. But speaking of evolution, though, because it is relevant, because this is technically an adaptation in a weird way, because it's the Dragon Ball anime, but it's, so it is animated, but it still technically is an adaptation of the longer work, which was the longer version of the Dragon Ball anime. So yeah, it's an adaptation. However, I still think it was done so well, right, that I feel like even though it did skip Pilaf, who, by the way, always gets the fucking short end of the stick, no matter what movie you're looking at, it's like he'll either be briefly mentioned or not mentioned at all. Because we get the first two movies, which were like, oh, we going to involve Pilaf in the plot in any way? No. The third one, hey, look, Pilaf is there. Wave as you're nothing.
In the wave as he's murdered mercilessly.
Basically. And in the fourth movie, it's like, oh, man, hey, look, we're adapting this. So you guys are going to love it. No Pilaf. It's like, well, then. Like, right? Like, they included, it's like they got so many people in there, but it's like, no Pilaf. No Pilaf. No.
I mean,
but
I suppose they could have added him in as kind of like what Yamcha was doing, just kind of stalking them around and we'll get the Dragon Ball back and blah 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 blah.
We'd have two stalkers.
They
just meet each other. Like, wait a minute, are you stalking them too? Yeah. What about it?
Yeah,
right?
And when the Red Ribbon Army attacks or something, they just get blown away by a missile or something, and it's like Team Rocket's blasting off again.
I was about to say, Team Pilaf's blasting off again!
Honestly, I almost heard them saying it in their voices one time. I don't remember when, but I was watching the series, and they got hit with an explosion, and I'm just thinking, oh my god. It's Mai was Jesse, the dog was, Shu was James, and then Pilaf was fucking Meowth. But yeah, so talking about this movie, though, and relating it to Evolution, why am I relating it to Evolution? Because I really think if Evolution was adapted the way this was, yes, there are some flaws in this movie, and it's not about Pilaf, There are some flaws in this movie. But they're very minute, and they're at least really, really, really fucking faithful.
You know,
Yeah.
yes, you're skipping things. Yes, it would kind of, I would argue, maybe look a bit like Avatar: The Last Airbender if you took all of this and you made it live action. Because, you know, Avatar: The Last Airbender, faithful, but because there was no real depth in them speaking to each other, it felt kind of hollow. So I would be worried that this movie could turn hollow if it was made into a live action. It wasn't just looked at as, oh, it's an hour and 20 minutes of just fun, you know, because it's the anniversary, right? So, yeah, it might look hollow in live action form. But compared to Evolution, and I know the words compared to Evolution should basically just be like, so you mean any other movie?
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, all right, fair enough. But still, compared to Evolution, I really think that this, while still having flaws, would have been so much closer to the original, you know, because, I mean, it really was. I mean, yes, there were some differences here and there, but overall it was a really nice way to kind of connect everything and make it work in a way that, yeah, it felt a little bit rushed. But you know what? Even with the extra time, you were still adapting a lot more in an hour and 20 minutes.
Right.
But I still really, really enjoyed it as a movie.
Yeah, so did I.
Yes. Something interesting. So, all right. So starting off the movie, you know, just talking about, you know, the movie overall, because usually we talk about it, you know, piece by piece or whatever. So,
Yeah.
Of course, no Dragon Ball movie would be complete if we didn't get a naked Goku.
Yeah.
Right? So in the first 5 minutes, it's just, you know, so how are we going to start
Naked
off this
Goku.
movie? Yeah, how are we going to start it off? Naked Goku.
Although I laughed at the fact when he's fishing that they actually gave the fish a voice, and it sounded
That
like
was
so threatening and deep.
I believe the fish was done by Christopher Sabat.
Yeah, I just couldn't help but laugh. I'm like, they actually gave the fish a voice.
Yeah, that's what they do. They give fish voices, man.
And
no,
then,
but,
you know, Goku beats the tar out of him.
Yes, of course. Well, I mean, he eats it. Oh,
Yeah.
That's just what. Well, you know, I mean, the manga does that. You know, they at some point they gave these, at least in the beginning, they gave the animals, the ones that really weren't humanoid, they gave them voices, and it was really cute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was fun. Also, you know, I want to look for the budget, so I'll bring up the budget while on this podcast with you. But I just want to mention, you know, before bringing up the actual number for the budget, it must have been high.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the budget must have been huge. Because, wow. I mean, just wow. You know, and I know you might be like, well, guys, are you really like, watch the movie if you haven't.
Yeah.
And you'll see what we mean. I mean, the budget must have been huge because at 1996, it's not like you can't, you know, make a movie this way.
Right.
But still, I don't know. I mean, maybe we really have, because even looking at, like, Wrath of the Dragon, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just the idea that the last one we saw was in the 80s, and then we're jumping to this Dragon Ball movie. But still, even looking at Wrath of the Dragon, it was good. But something about this really felt like a lot of money was poured into it.
Oh, yeah, no, it definitely looks and feels like they pulled out all the stops. I mean, it was for an anniversary showing, so I'm assuming, you know, they were like, here, take it, you know,
and it was
take
longer.
the budget. Yeah. I'm sure they really
so,
wanted to make it something impressive, you know?
Oh, most definitely. And it was.
Yeah.
It was just, wow. You know, to me, yeah. So to me, I really, really, really enjoyed it. Not based on the animation alone, but still, the animation just looked very, very impressive for its time. A bit like, and I don't want to compare it to this because I don't want any, like, you know, anime historians or really, like, you know, long time or just general anime fans to go, really, you're comparing these two? But the idea of, you know, thinking about Akira, right?
Yeah.
Being revolutionary for its time. Now, I don't consider this movie revolutionary, but still, the idea that Akira, and this movie being Fast to Power, but still, I think that Akira, you know, having that amount, that huge budget that it had, and looking the way that it did, this movie felt similar, where it's just, this looks interesting.
Right. Yeah, I love how they even put, like, attention to detail into the background stuff, too. Like, in the beginning, they just had that tree and the leaves, you know, fading in and out. That just looked very nice to me, and especially when they were out on the beach, when they meet Roshi later on in the movie, just the sunset and the sunrise and the, you know, sand on the beach. They put some effort into, like, everything in the movie too, not just the characters. You know, it was nice.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. Also, what's interesting is I'm looking up these numbers, and I find numbers of how much they made in the box office, but not their actual. So, interestingly enough, this, while it's not listed for Path to Power, apparently that would mean it made under 1 billion yen.
Huh.
Which is interesting. But still, it's, and, to put that in perspective, looking at the time, 1.3 billion yen would be $9.4 million. Just to kind of put that into perspective. So it made under that, but still, so it's not listed, sadly. But, I'm a little frustrated right now because I'm trying to look for the actual budget. It's just, hey, here's how much money it made. It's like, thank you. That's not what I'm looking for at all. Thank you. No, seriously. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You did it. Damn you, Tristan. Damn you.
I deleted it off the wiki before the show.
I can get you in serious trouble with the internet police for that.
I know you can, but you'll never catch me.
I know where you live.
No, you don't.
In other shocking news, Bulma tried to shoot Goku in the face.
And she did, and it didn't work.
Isn't that funny to tell the grandkids? Isn't that a funny story to tell the grandkids? Just, hey.
I can only imagine.
I shot him in the face.
Even if it was just Gohan or Goten or Trunks, just like, yeah, I remember that time Bulma shot me in the head. What? Or even Chi-Chi just looks at him like, the fuck? When did that happen? Oh, when I first met her. It's like, yeah, I thought she was a witch and she was riding a monster and she was trying to take my fish away. Then Chi-Chi's like, oh, okay, now I see what happened.
What I still think is interesting is the idea that I think this was one of those lessons. Like, I know it was meant for comic relief because, the bullets bounce right off of him. But I feel like it's just a lesson like, hey, kids, here's why you shouldn't own guns. Because you'll shoot Goku in the face. I don't want to shoot Goku in the face.
Granted, Bulma only pulled it out after Goku threw her car, a few tosses down the road, and she kind of looked at, I'm surprised her aim was that good. Holy shit. I mean, but she kind of puts it down like, oh God, I actually did it. She's like, oh crap, I did it.
Gun safety.
Yeah.
Just shoot kids in the face.
Yeah, well.
But seriously though, fun story for the grandkids. I shot him in the face. And he was just fine, so it's okay. It's definitely not murder. That's what that not is. It's not murder.
Yeah.
Something that's interesting, I think, about Goku's character in this film is, while he still doesn't have the southern accent that he does have in the manga, he does use terms that show that he doesn't understand civilization and only knows about, like, martial arts and mystical stuff. And I think that was cool, where it's like, hey, so we're still not going to give him that southern accent, but we're really going to show that he's different and that he's not, and that I commend to the English script. As we watch the English version, we usually look at the English script, and we know the Japanese script has those, southern mannerisms and that style because the manga has it, and generally we know that Akira Toriyama grew up as a southern boy. So that's why he writes it that way, kind of the southern boy going into the big city and seeing, how everything's different and kind of learning about it more and still being somewhat different, but being pure. Right? Just being pure, not being corrupted by the quote-unquote city life. And that's what we see from some of Toriyama's work. Because his work before this, actually, we've brought it up before on the show, was Dr. Slump, where they lived, in the countryside. Well, there was a town. It was a town, not a city. And then in one chapter, they went to the big city, and it was so different. And it was really funny because it was just them, the characters in Dr. Slump being Dr. Senbei, who appeared in the third movie, as well as Errol, right, also, or Areli, whatever you want to refer to her as, and Gachan also appeared in the third movie, which was very interesting because they also appeared in the Dragon Ball series in a crossover type thing. So, I thought they were going to appear in this movie. A little sad that they didn't, to be fair. I was like, are they going to appear? And then they didn't. I was like, oh. okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
okay.
I mean, because they kind of shortened up General Blue's. I mean, Blue didn't even fight Goku.
Yeah, that was interesting. We'll get to that in a second. All right, so first, I thought it was great how Goku convinced Bulma that all boys have tails.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. Now, here's something interesting. What?
No, just, like, going back into... Like, as soon as I saw Bulma come in, I'm like, oh, great, here we go. It's just like...
Because it's her teenage version, so...
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just that awkward, like, oh, here comes the awkward teenage jokes again.
Okay, good. I'm happy you saw it, too, because, before we mention that, I want to mention... So, all right, have you ever seen the Friday the 13th movies? I swear this has a point. Have you ever seen those movies?
I may have.
All right.
Don't know.
It's weird. Okay, so I just saw part 2 today,
right.
And Friday the 13th part 2, and it's weird to see this movie right after seeing that, because Jason's mom died in the first movie, and so she died in the first movie. Technically, like, he saw her die, at least from what we can assume, and he has her head on an altar, right, in the second movie. Yeah. And he doesn't talk to it, but he kind of, like, acknowledges that, like, he believes that it is, like, still his mother in a weird way, right? Because, again, he has mommy issues and everything.
Dear God.
Because he's a country boy.
I know where you're going with this.
Right, good. Right. So Jason's a country boy, and the only person that he ever interacted with was his mother.
Right.
At least that was his best friend. So he didn't really have friends. I really went to school. Yeah. So my head, it's just, all right, so Goku is one step away from being a serial killer. Thank God Bulma found him.
I mean, technically when he transforms, there's not much difference. He's just he's just a kaiju at that point, but...
Basically, just a giant monster. I mean, oh God, Ozaru, let's not even fucking get into it. All I can think of is just, he's a giant ape. No, it is your Ozaru form. Go fuck yourself. That's all I can think. A giant ape.
Although, you know what?
It's not, what?
That's what surprises me. They didn't have him transform at all. Yeah.
That also, I will admit, that was interesting, because when he was knocked out later on in the film, and we're not there yet, but when he was knocked out, I actually thought he was going to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, moving on. It's funny how, her teenage girl mind, she wants to ask the Eternal Dragon for a boyfriend. But then the weird teenage jokes we mentioned, where that wasn't weird, right? That's just like, when she lifted up her skirt, my first thought was, please, Bulma, put that away. I don't want to be arrested for watching this movie.
Oh, for fuck, yeah. Oh, God.
No, because, crazy stuff like that has happened, where, I remember hearing stuff where, it's kind of like, oh, yeah, person buys something that is legal to buy in their, in their state or in their whatever, country or whatever, and then they get charged for it, or they just get looked at weirdly because of it. It's just like, guys, Funimation released this legally in America.
Yeah.
This is not anything weird. It's just really, it's a different time. It's a different culture. It's 80s jokes. And even technically, what's even more interesting when you think about it, this movie came out in 96. So it's not even like we're talking about it here in 2000. Like, we're talking about it live on the radio to give anyone some perspective they're listening in the future in 2015.
Yeah.
Right? So our views are a lot different than the views of another country's in 1996 that is adapting a show that was around in the 80s.
Right. Oh, God.
That's what I'm saying. So when you think about it, you're like, you sit there and you go, wow, I understand why. You can understand it. It's just that it's not that funny to us anymore. And it's a little awkward.
I mean, I still love the fact that Goku's just like, yeah, what about it?
Yeah, that was hilarious. Why? No, not even what about it. Why are you showing me your butt?
Yeah, I just walks
perfect.
away. It's just like, oh, shit.
Yeah, it was perfect.
It's like immediately friend zoned. It's like, yeah, I know that's not what I was going for, but...
I'm actually very happy you were about to say that because I was about to be like, haha, but I'm really happy you went for that. No, but seriously, yeah, it was really interesting, and also something I want to give some background on. So Goku laughed at Bulma's name, right?
Yes.
No, but do you want to know why he laughed at her name?
I do know why.
Oh, tell me why.
Because it means bloomers.
Thank you. So you looked it up as well. Or at the very least, you had that knowledge in the back of your head.
Yeah,
because
I knew it from a while back. Because we've
forgot
talked
about it.
all of this before. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Well, we have talked about some of this, but I don't think we talked about the meaning of her name, at least on the different shows that we've done. So so I looked up her name just to make sure, and it's a Japanese joke that really doesn't translate well at all because yes, Bulma sounds like a weird name to us. It really does to us Americans.
It's not that weird.
Well, it's one of those things where Son Goku has an actual thing behind it, Japanese cultural understanding. Same thing with Momotaro, which is Peach Boy, the story of Momotaro. I think you might know a bit about it. Yeah. So vaguely at least. So so in Japan it's Momotaro had a weird name to them. To us, Momotaro, a little strange, right?
Well,
so it's really interesting. Yeah, so a little different is the idea. Not strange, but different, right? So one of those things where it's ha, you have a weird name. Your name is Bulma. To us Americans, it's you are one to talk, Goku, right? I'm sorry, are you fucking one to talk? Mr. Goku? Have to call you Mr. because your first name is Son. I'm sorry. So it's weird if you don't understand the cultural thing behind it, where technically her name is Women's Underwear Briefs, because bloomers technically it's a Bulma is a variation of the word bloomers, and that's why she's like, shut up, it's a family name, because even though her name is Bulma Briefs, still it's really interesting, and it's kind of funny. So that's why that's why he kept on chuckling. But anyway, so we move on with the movie, right? We go farther, and then bam, immediately it's an oolong. But we also have Yamcha and Puar there in the background, which was weird, right? So we have Oolong, and the fight was fun with Goku and Oolong because it was in a different area, but he's still kind of doing the same thing he was doing in the manga anyway, wanting to get a girl and doing it by transforming, your normal friendly neighborhood transforming pig kidnapping, right? Your normal, standard, right? Yeah, you
normal
need one
shit that happens
anime.
every day. Yeah,
you need one every manga, one and again, So, all right, so then Yamcha appears, right? And he's a pesky bandit, as always, right? So but I don't know. Okay, so I think it's when you look at the anime, right, or, the manga, the people that Goku meets and turn into his friends that he technically converts, right, from bad guys to good guys, it's a weird thing because when it happens in the manga and in the anime, I think they're so spaced out that you're like, this is nice. This is cool. This is fun that his bright and, his sunny disposition is able to transform and kind of make people just become good guys, right?
Yeah.
But when it happens so close together, it just dawns on you, man, we have some fuck-ups here. We have a kidnapping pervert who's literally a pig. We have a bandit who robs people but is also scared of women. And then, I know they weren't in this movie, but then we get to Tien and Chaozu, and we have literal assassins.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, look at Krillin. Even when he's quote-unquote evil, he's just a pushover. He's just his rival. Even when he's evil, he still hasn't done anything as horrible.
Right.
As
and
the
then,
people that we
we won't even get into, demons.
No, we won't even get there yet. Just, no, but it's just crazy, when you think about it. When they're so bunched together. You're like, man, we have a real ragtag group of people here. That Goku's like, I want to be friends with all of them. Goku, step away from them.
And
because,
I do love... No, I just wanted to say, when they run into Oolong, I still love the fact that he transforms into, the giant robot. And it's like, I'm going to dunk you in this boiling hot soup like a wonton. And, of course, he burns himself on the own. My question still stands, where the hell does he get the soup? I mean, okay, yes, he transforms into the robot, but where the fuck is the bowl coming from? Seriously.
I don't think you understand. Not only is he good at transforming, not good, but he transforms. He also took an alchemy class.
Oh God.
So he turned the air into the bowl of soup.
Well,
no.
By that logic, you think he would just transmute gold so he could, get his ladies easier.
Right, but he's an idiot.
Well, that's true. Yes. See, that's funny because Oolong, I don't mind being okay. I mean, not that I technically like this character archetype, but it's like, being the pervert because,
he's literally a pig.
Yeah. Well, okay. I mean, that's giving pigs a bad name, but yeah. I mean, right. I'd rather it be him than say, like Roshi, how Roshi always fucking gets it. But I mean, I guess supposedly he technically makes a point on the island. He is a hermit. I guess, you can't really blame him.
Well, no, to be fair, no.
Well,
yeah. No. We don't want to give off that impression at all. No. The impression is, okay, I'll say this much to you. And this is what Tristan is trying to say, everyone who's listening in, right? You can understand his plight, however, that does not in any way make his actions any more redeemable.
No.
So But again, you can understand his plight because as we do not really think about, he is a man trapped on an island.
With
because
a turtle.
He doesn't like people, right, with a turtle. So yeah. So that's the thing, right? So we want to sit here and we go, yes, he is a lonely old man on an island. However, that does not make any of the things that he's done any better, because we are not excusing those actions whatsoever, because they are not good things to do. But one thing I want to mention though is what?
You'd think with all his martial arts training, he kind of would have gotten over, shit like that. Being the legendary master that he is.
He would be with a lady. Well, again, that's because he's really more of a pervert than anything. Like, it's more of an excuse. I mean, when he says, like, oh, well, I just don't get, it's like you don't get women because of what you do.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to mention about the both of them, though, something that is a good thing that I think Toriyama does. While, and this is when even when Toriyama isn't writing him and it's filler, usually this works out well in the viewer's favor. If the viewer feels as if, hey, Oolong and Master Roshi are perverts, and I want to see them get punched in the face, 9 times out of 10, I would argue even 10 times out of 10, they're going to get their teeth kicked in.
Yes,
because of what they've done.
Every time.
So in a way, it is not excusing the behavior. The problem is that the behavior is being used as a gag, and in today's landscape, I mean, again, this is made a while ago, so we do have to look at it with those eyes. This was made a while ago. But in today's world, if that were to continue, which thankfully I don't believe there was Roshi pervertedness in Battle of Gods for good reasons. As far as I remember, I can't think of any perverted Roshi or Oolong-ness in Battle of Gods, which is the thing you want to keep on doing, the not pervertedness, because it's not as funny as it used to be. It's not that, to us, to you and I at least, and I think to many people, it's not like that one of those gags where it's like, oh, Roshi, oh, that kooky old man. There was a time when that was a fun joke, but I just don't think that that's valid anymore as humor.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, jumping back into the story, as I mentioned earlier, just skipping right to the Red Ribbon Army. It's like, well, that was fast. General Pilaf says, fuck you too. Right? Like, General Pilaf is just not enjoying your shit.
Yeah.
Right now, General Pilaf is currently the king because he was able to, instead of getting destroyed by, like, Goku, he couldn't get the Dragon Balls, but he still, like, was able to obtain power, I'm sure.
Oh, God.
He had a kingdom. So Pilaf is out being an evil king somewhere while Goku's dealing with the Red Ribbon Army.
Oh, I do have to say one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized something throughout the movie, and I'm just gonna do these one at a time just to make you think about it.
Okay.
So they meet the Red Ribbon Army. They pull up to Muscle Tower.
Right.
Did you see some of the mechanical, machines that some of the guards were walking around on?
A bit, yes. I mean, I noticed them, yes.
They were like two-legged and with platforms and with guns on them.
Yes.
Sound familiar?
No.
No? Okay, then I'll just lay this one out then. Muscle Tower is the Death Star.
Oh, okay. Well, what's very interesting is I noticed that later when General like Red was killed, I was like, not only was he killed, but he was killed on the Death Star. Because you saw the area, and you saw the way that he fell down into a fucking shaft. I'm like, hey, he died on the Death Star, like anyone should die. No, what's really interesting is I would definitely say that Toriyama could have been inspired, by Lucas, based on when the Star Wars movies came out, and they were coming out as, he was writing his manga. So, and also while, this comes out 10 years later, if they want to update certain and tweak certain designs, there's no reason why I wouldn't, I cannot be surprised if someone says, oh yeah, he was inspired by Star Wars, because hey, Star Wars was huge, and we know firsthand that, to anyone who might be thinking, oh, no, but, Japan gets some of our media. Yeah, no, they get a lot of our media. The whole world gets a lot of our media. Even back then, you can see clips of Doctor Who, right, of Tom Baker, who was the fourth Doctor, who was around during the 70s, being dubbed over in Japanese. So clearly, even that was brought over.
Although technically
Japan.
That's a British show, so.
Well, yes, no, that isn't our media, but essentially it is. No, you are correct, yes. But the idea is just generally the idea is not like, oh yeah, Japan, yeah, they're just working with their own stuff. No, like they are inspired by Western things just as we are inspired by their shows as well to create some very interesting products, So that idea where, yes, obviously Doctor Who is not American, but, thinking about some American stuff, though, Supernatural is huge over there.
Right.
Yeah, to the point where they made that Supernatural anime. Because it was that huge over there. And what's even more interesting is the Supernatural anime had the two voice actors for Sam and Dean that played them when dubbing over live-action Sam and Dean in the show.
Huh.
Yes. So that's how popular it is over there. Hell, Pirates of the Caribbean went over there, and they had one voice actor. I think I've mentioned this before on air. They have one voice actor that voiced Captain Jack Sparrow, and they used that same voice actor for all three movies. At the time, there were three movies. All three movies, to then dub him over in the second Kingdom Hearts game. Right. Now, there were other voice actors doing Jack depending on what TV station picked it up. Because it would be a thing where, like, if one TV station licenses the movie, they'd have their own dubbing crew, right? But the one that everyone recognizes, the one that's like, yeah, this guy dubbed him throughout all three movies, and even in Kingdom Hearts. Can't remember the voice actor's name, but, like, that's how it's like, hey, they get our media too. It's not like they're just closed off somewhere. Right. So, I would not be surprised if, Toriyama was inspired by Star Wars, looking at this film. And looking at the manga itself. So, okay. Speaking of, some of the, him meeting the Red Ribbon Army, while I enjoyed the talking in the film thus far, it was nice to get some real action against some real bad guys, too, because they can show Goku going all out. Right. Yeah, Bulma just,
immediately jumps out and says, hey, Goku, kick their butts, please. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Although I love the fact that she, after the army comes out and shoots up the truck and, everybody's falling out of it, I love how Bulma just gets out and stands up on the top and says, what's the big idea shooting up our truck? It's like, yes, Bulma, let's jump out into the, in the middle of everything and ask the guys who just, completely shot up your truck without any regard for who you were whatsoever. Let's just, jump out and meet them.
Yes. Yes. So one thing I want to mention, by the way, I love the premise of this movie, by the way, because, Goku gets into Muscle Tower, and he's fighting this, this cyborg, this android, and I'm laughing because it's just the premise of this movie. We see Goku learn how to live outside of his forest. It is a story of love, understanding, and seeing Goku kill his first cyborg.
And beat the crap out of everything in your path.
No! Kill his first cyborg. Like, it was so fast that I was like, whoa, guys. Are we just going to kill the Red... Like, are we just going to defeat the Red Ribbon Army and then be like, and now I'm moving on to Pilaf. Like, and now I'm moving on to Piccolo. Like, I was so confused. I was like, what's happening here? And then we get to see Ader, which made me so happy because I think he's one of my favorite characters in Dragon Ball because it was because I think the reason why I love him so much is because everyone else that, Goku turned to help him, they were human, right? And while I know, of course we can be fickle. People are fickle and everything and, and emotions and, stuff like that cloud your judgment. But still, he was able to turn people. When it comes to a robot, you're supposed to just be straight up, I will destroy you. But no, he got Ader on his side. And I think that was really cool to me when I was younger and I was reading it. And then seeing it in the anime as well. It was just so interesting to me to be like, wow, even an android.
Yeah. Well, because Ader always had that kind of, lighthearted disposition to himself as well. Like, I think they even mentioned it maybe in the manga or in the anime. It might have been in the anime as like a filler line or whatever. But like when they were programming him, the first times they activated him, he had this disposition of I don't want to kill things, and they're like,
yes.
What the fuck? We fucked up his programming. Who the hell did this?
Yeah. In a weird way, it reminds me of Kamen Rider. Because the original Kamen Rider, another Tokusatsu series, bringing up Tokusatsu stuff, or just general Japanese, media. Because I was bringing up the idea before in this show that we get Japanese stuff too, obviously, right? And one of the things that we get is some Tokusatsu, which means special effects, things like Super Sentai, which becomes Power Rangers in America, or Kamen Rider, which became Masked Rider or Kamen Rider Dragon Knight. And speaking of Kamen Rider, though, the original one that came out in the 1970s, was very interesting is what happened was they kidnap a guy and they try to turn him into one of their monsters for their army, them being a Die Shocker, right? A very large terrorist organization that wants to take over and destroy the world. So they kidnap him. Yeah, they kidnap him and they transform him. But they were about to brainwash him, but then something went wrong, like he broke free or something. So essentially, he is one of the monsters that he fights every week. The difference is that they actually created the perfect one, the perfect android. However, it's one of those things where it's like, so we're going to brainwash him before or after? Happens after, and because it was after, he breaks free, and he now has memories of his life. We probably should have done that before, shouldn't we? So it's the idea of they definitely, right? So they definitely were going to do the same to Ader, right? Where it's like, this isn't working. Well, let's make sure to, let's try, and if not, we'll mind wipe him. But they didn't get the chance to mind wipe.
I mean, I feel like Toriyama kind of puts that in every character. There's always that sense of like the spark of life, and life itself is sacred in a way that no one has the right to take it away. And even, I think it's to the point like even an android who's supposed to be, completely mechanical, completely machine, even they have that little bit of spark of life that makes them an individual, uniquely them, and that should be respected no matter what form it takes, which is always kind of nice to see.
That, and also huge Tokusatsu references. I mean, that of course completely. But the idea that, you look at the Ginyu Force, and they're a Sentai, they're Power Rangers right there, right? You look at Great Saiyaman, and he's definitely inspired by Kamen Rider because we have Great Saiyaman 1, and you had the original Kamen Rider, and then when the actor actually hurt himself after getting, he was in a motorcycle accident on set because he did his own stunts for the most part. So he got hurt, and they were like, crap, this is a weekly show that we do. What are we going to do? And what they did was they actually got another actor to play it happened again, essentially. Like, we kidnapped this guy, but he broke free, and he became Kamen Rider 2. So, because they had Kamen Rider Ichigo, which is Kamen Rider 1, and Kamen Rider Nigo, which is Kamen Rider 2. So they have them both, and that's why we look at Great Saiyaman, and he has, the pointy ears because, a lot of Kamen Riders are based off of bugs. usually are based off of bugs. So he has like the antennas kind of make him look like a bug for Great Saiyaman, and then who do you have? Videl be Great Saiyaman too.
Right.
So so we have that there as well, and and a lot of his older work, Toriyama's older work being, you look at Dr. Slump, and it was very interesting because in Dr. Slump you have a lot of references to Godzilla and to Ultraman. I mean, hell, you have Gamera walking around all the time. No, it's true. It's really funny. You have just Gamera just walking around. Like, are you Gamera? Yes.
Oh, God, I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, yeah. Next time I get you over, I'm just going to pull out some of my Dr. Slump volumes for you, because I got the whole series, which is really cool. Out of print a bit. So I got the whole series. So I'll just bring them out to you, and and I'll just be showing you, like, that's Gamera right there, just chilling. But anyway, so back to this. I'm very happy that Ader turned good, because I know this was a pure adaptation, but they changed some stuff around already. So I was a little concerned. I'm not going to lie to you. Because, he was beating him up for a bit. So I was like, oh, God, please don't tell me this is going to happen. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, we're friends now. And then Goku and Ader give each other this look. And all I can think of is, let me tell you about my best friend. I'm like, seriously, you saw that look that they gave each other. It was prolonged. Yeah. Yeah. But, all right, so we move on from that. And then we find the tortoise. And it's like, hey, we're doing Master Roshi stuff now.
Right. Oh, God.
Yeah. It's the scene that always gets us, man.
No, it's just the fact that he keeps going back and forth about, no, I'm a tortoise. It's like, you're shitting me, right? No, you're a sea turtle. Can you bring me back to the sea? I really need to get back to my island. Oh, I'm a tortoise, by the way.
I love that. That's what I love. You're
a fucking turtle. It was just, I'm like, usually I like Turtle. I do. Just as a background character, he's nice. But in this, it was just like, you little sassy son of a bitch.
I thought you were talking about the Master Roshi scene, which was coming up. But anyway, so coming up a bit later. But anyway, before we get to that, though, I want to mention Oolong's reasoning for there being mermaids was hilarious, because like Turtle leaves and Oolong's just like, so he didn't say no. So as far as we know, there's turtles, and I'm like, there's mermaids, and I'm like, oh my God, Oolong, stop it. Please,
yes, Oolong, there's mermaids. Why don't you go drown and find one? Oh, did I say that out loud?
Yeah, right. Hey, look, you can write Bulma perfectly. So yeah, the one thing too, by the way, and I mentioned, and again, 2015 we're talking about this. It was animated in the 90s. It came out in the 80s as a manga, and it is a very iconic scene. And that's the thing, about this movie. They have very iconic scenes. But man, the Bulma sleeping scene is weird. It's used for a gag, but it's weird. I mean, it is kind of funny, where it's just like, the balls,
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's not as weird as the other scene. To be fair, it's not as weird as the scene with Master Roshi and Bulma. But still, it's weird, I think, to me, because when it's in the manga, I think it's funny, because, they have, like, the words pat, pat, right? So they have the sound effects. And then also, they have an angle which, as far as I remember, isn't as provocative. Right? Because in the anime that we just, in this animated film, it feels a bit provocative with some of the camera angles that they use. But yeah. But anyway, I mean, again, it was used as a gag, and I'm not saying it wasn't funny, because the balls are missing. Well, no, because literally, I mean, Goku does not know the difference. So he's like, balls are missing. And Bulma's like, what? The Dragon Balls are missing.
The Dragon Balls, like, no, they're right here.
Yeah, so it's just, it's just weird, and it does what?
I think they made a better, I'm pretty sure they still made that joke in the manga too, but I think there was a better joke in the manga where he's talking to Oolong while they're sitting in the car at one point, and, they're talking about the Dragon Balls or whatever, and Oolong is saying something, and then just in a small thought bubble towards the side of the actual dialogue, you just see Goku think, that poor dragon.
Oh, right, yes, because it's his Dragon Balls, yes. Something like that, I believe, yeah. Anyway, so we get Roshi time, and I'm not going to stick to this too much because it's, again, iconic scene. So the immortal bird died. They get the Nimbus as a reward.
I was hoping you were going to say that.
Yeah, no, I love that so much. Bulma isn't pure enough. Yamcha's there, because he's following.
It's funny.
What?
Like when Roshi, he's telling them all the different stuff he could give as a reward. It's like you kind of have to think, like, Jesus Christ, Roshi has some connections. Like, holy crap, he's got a lot of mystical treasure, for fuck's sake.
Well, no, because, at that time, he was written as an old, perverted hermit, but at the same time, he's a kung fu master. So, of course, he's done so much. Where he has a phoenix. He has a phoenix,
I would love to see the adventures of younger Roshi. It's like, where the fuck, like, what did he do to, like, get this stuff?
Don't give Toriyama any ideas. I think I've said this to you before, though. No. I think I said this to you, either on air or just to you personally. I agree. I would totally love to see not only younger Roshi, but younger, Chi-Chi's dad, Ox King.
Ox King,
I would love to see Ox King.
What about the Crane Hermit and Tao Pai Pai, younger versions of them too, because they were rivals.
I would love to see them. Yeah.
Yeah, Roshi and Crane were rivals.
Yeah. It would be interesting, and I feel like if Dragon Ball Super doesn't do well, which of course it will, it's just like, where do we go next? Well, we've gone to the future, and then we've gone to GT. We've gone to the future, and then we've also gone into the earlier future. But now let's go into the past. The earlier.
You mean Bardock?
Past.
No,
the
not
earlier
that past.
No, as I'm saying, it's like Bardock. It's like either you say it's the earlier past, or it's like Bardock, the future past.
Oh, God damn it!
It's just like, can you just say not that far back? No, we're going into the future past. Dun dun dun, meh.
Although, granted, Goku is a baby and landed when Gohan was an old man, so technically he would have been an old man. Oh, God, so Roshi would have been, like, that would be the past. Like, Roshi would be the past. Holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, hell, Roshi trained Grandpa Gohan.
Right.
Yeah. So, and if you think about that, though, imagine that, though. He trained him. So Roshi is a lot older than we believe.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. There was some mention that he drank some kind of elixir that either... it elongated his life. Yeah. Because he's not, like, immortal or anything, but... Oh,
because I don't remember... Because I never heard about the elixir in the manga. What I assume is the idea that it's like, well, you had an immortal phoenix. You had an immortal bird.
Well, yeah, that too.
I mean, yeah.
I was going to make you all immortal, like me.
Just think about it. He doesn't look any older. No, because he doesn't look any older as the show progresses. We're not counting GT, which was a different look, but he didn't even look any older, just a different look. So he's still the same, but anyway. So, yeah. Moving on, again, the same scene, the same feelings that I had earlier with the scene where Bulma's showing off her underwear, which doesn't realize she doesn't have any. It's an iconic scene, but just really fucking weird.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, immediate plot bomb. Literally with a bomb.
Literally. Missiles everywhere.
Yeah. One thing I'm happy they had the time for. It was a long movie, but still there was a lot to pack in. I'm really happy they had the time to have Roshi power up.
Oh, yeah. Like, that was amazing.
Because that was fucking great. Oh, yeah, that was fucking great. Just...
I love the fact how Goku even goes, or might not have been Goku. Somebody went, it's like, oh, yeah, it was Goku. He's like, yeah, you trained my grandpa, so you must be really good, right? Can't you stop them? And Bulma's like, Goku, you idiot, he's just one old man. He can't take on an entire army. Oh, that's right. Like, Roshi just wakes up for a second. Wait a minute. Yeah, I can.
For the most part, anyway. At least for a couple of seconds. But it was really funny, though, because it was... but it was still funny. It's just like, he can't take on an entire army? Well, I mean, screw you, too. Right? Like
actually... Wait a minute.
No, that happened in Spider-Man. that happened in the Scarlet Spider-Man series, a comic book series, and it was really hilarious because Scarlet Spider-Man, just a quick lesson, very, very quick. Scarlet Spider-Man being a clone of Peter Parker.
Oh, God.
Who was trying to find himself in the world because he was evil, but it wasn't really his choice. So he goes off and he becomes a Scarlet Spider-Man, who is another costume if you've seen a lot of Spider-Man stuff, and be like, oh, I know that costume. Yeah. So anyway, Scarlet Spider-Man, right? And he ends up being a superhero, Scarlet Spider-Man, in Houston, Texas. So he's trying to stop a bomb from going off, and he's working with the local police because they have a couple of recurring characters, one of them being a local police officer. So he's trying to find where the bomb is located, and he just can't. And they're like, there isn't a lot of time left. And the guy's like, he's like, what can you do? I mean, it's not like you can talk to spiders. And all of a sudden, he's just like, yeah, I mean, it isn't like, and he looks up and he has that look on his face of like pure, like, I got it. He's like, yeah, I know, it's not like I can talk to spiders. Yeah. And all of a sudden, the guy's looking at him like, what? He goes, shh, I'm thinking. No, he's like, shh, I'm hearing. Like, I'm listening. God. And he can actually listen to all the spiders in the area. So it's not like he can hear them talk, but he can kind of see through their eyes.
Right.
So he finds the bomb. But it's just hilarious because it's like, it's not like you can talk to spiders. It's like, yeah, not like I can talk to spiders. So Hiroshi it's not like I can fight an army. I can fight an army.
An army. And speaking of that army, speaking of that army, I'll drop the second one here. It's more of the kind of idea behind it. It's like, oh, they took the Dragon Ball from Muscle Tower. Guess what? Red Ribbon Army strikes back.
Yes. The scene also looked great, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, and what's funny is it looked like they blew up General Blue. So I'm happy that it was confirmed later. Because I'm sitting there and I'm like, they blew Blue. Wait. That sounds weird. That does not sound right at all. No, but seriously though, I thought that was General Blue because it's really funny. All I have to see is blonde hair, blue eyes in any Dragon Ball movie. And I'm like, that's General Blue. That's who that is. It's like, that could just be a German guy. It doesn't have to be in German. That's just a guy with blonde hair and blue eyes. No, it's General Blue. No matter what canon. No matter what canon, it's General Blue. But
although I have to admit, I'm kind of sad that they didn't actually get to fight him like on the beach.
Yeah, I feel the same way too.
One thing even if it was just a little bit, that would have been nice.
Right. No, I agree. Yeah. One thing I want to ask you that because I feel this way, and I want to see if you feel the same way. I want to say that Goku learned the Kamehameha a little too fast because it's the same thing that happened in the manga in a way, but I think in the manga there wasn't this much going on at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of like an after-battle thing. So it felt like, whoa, he can do a little one. That's nuts. Yeah. He's going to learn to do better later. Because that's kind of Roshi's mentality, and we felt the same as fans. But this kind of felt like, I saw it, so boom! And it was like, you
honestly,
shouldn't... Like, okay, what?
Yeah, the way I think about it, because I thought about that too. The way I thought about it for the movie, I don't know, give it a way out, basically. I mean, you have to remember that Goku is still Saiyan, and technically if he was, rampaging around on the planet, I mean, even if he didn't turn into, the Ozaru form, he'd probably still be shooting, energy. So
that's
I guess
true.
You could think of it in the way that it's kind of innate in him already. He probably had the ability to do it. He just never thought of it because, he loses the memory.
He had the ability to use energy beams. He just turned into a Kamehameha form.
Right.
I'll give you that. I'll just say this much. To me, it's the reason why this movie isn't going to be a 10. Because, again, it had to do what it had to do. It's just that it did feel like some stuff was rushed because Goku's the main character, so plot. So it's the idea of, and again, it's not like I'm giving this movie a 6, mind you, right? No. This is going to be rated very highly by me. But I don't want to give it, it's hard for me to say something's perfect. So, I mean, that too. So I don't want to give it, perfect score. But, because again, it's, but it definitely is going to be rated, like a 6 or a 7. It's definitely going to be higher than that from me. But anyway, so, yeah, because again, it does feel like some things were a bit rushed. Something fun, though. Yamcha getting called out by Bulma, and it's like, that's a problem. Don't do that, Bulma. Don't do that, Bulma. He could have saved you.
I was
He could have.
I mean, I know that's the thing, but I was just honestly that really disappointed me. I was just like, Yamcha, you couldn't hold it together for 5 fucking seconds so you could, strike him in the back of the neck. Although, granted, I mean, maybe they didn't have that on purpose because technically, if you think about it, I don't even know if Yamcha could have taken on Blue, granted, where he comes in the actual series. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just like, come on, Yamcha, really?
Yeah, no, I get that. One thing I want to mention, too, I wonder, because this was where it really took a strange turn for me. I wonder if they thought Goku was dead. Because, I thought they took Goku with them, but it's like, no, Goku was left there, and I'm like, shit.
Left on the beach.
They all thought Goku died. Like, let that sink in. Like, they all thought, we look at him. Blah, 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 blah. We look at him, right? And we're like, that's the main character. Right? But no, they thought he died. And in the scene where Goku was wandering, the music made it feel so unnerving, didn't it? Like, it was just so... Yeah, and I was like, wow. Like, he really feels lost right now. Like, it feels like we're all lost with him.
Yeah. Like, it felt to me like, I guess the group probably thought he got caught in one of the explosions or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe like a red ribbon grunt, clocked. Yeah. Well, even that wouldn't have knocked him out, though. He got hit in the head with a bullet and he still got up. He must have been knocked out by one of the explosions. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was hit with the explosions like they all were, but he was hit head on.
Right.
Like, I feel like he, protected them in a way, because he was hit head on with them.
Yeah. I mean, granted,
a lot of,
it's funny, that scene kind of hit me in almost an opposite sense. Like, I felt like Goku was getting up and going like, oh, God, where is everybody? Last thing I remember is being blown up where, they didn't get caught in that, did they?
Yes, I'll give you that, too, yeah. To him, he was wondering if they were okay. But to me, I was seeing them because they were all taken away. So it's kind of like he wasn't taken because they thought he died. They were like, whatever, he's dead. And that was crazy to me. So seeing the scene where, moving forward, seeing the scene where Goku was riding Nimbus was really cool to me. Like, I really enjoyed, because I always enjoyed Nimbus scenes, I think, with Goku, because it's their way of saying, hey, he can't fly yet. So because of that, here's a really cool, basically like a car chase scene, but in midair.
I mean, even when Goku could fly, I mean, it was towards the beginning of the series, but Nimbus was still, the fastest way to get around at that point, too.
Yes, because he could fly, but it conserved energy. But once he got strong enough, flying was just second nature.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. But, although I will admit, so the first time I liked it. The second time we saw him riding it, it looked weird because of the trees. You noticed that too, right? The thing that they did with the trees?
Yes, and that's funny. Where I'm going to drop my third reference, Return of the Jedi.
All right, fine. This is just Star Wars. Fine,
they're on frickin' speeder bikes, and they crash into trees.
All right, fine then. Fine then. This is just Star Wars featuring Son Goku. Are you happy now? Are you happy now?
Hey, I mean, you pointed out to me that General Red dying and falling down the shaft was basically, Vader and the Emperor. I didn't even think of that one.
After you mentioned your Star Wars thing about how they all looked like they were fucking... So I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, fine, I'll bring up my Star Wars thing too. But anyway, the funny thing about the whole trees thing, right, is that even in 2015, although technically this came out in 2013, that looked weird to me in Battle of Gods, the blending of 2D and 3D. So I love how even though it's X amount of years later, still blending 2D and 3D looks weird to me.
Yeah, it's just because it's so sudden. Yeah, there's nothing else that they've done with that, but it's all of a sudden in the fights, it's like, oh, let's throw in this 3D. It's like, you can, I mean, you don't really need that, guys. You're kind of breaking the, I don't know.
Yeah, I get you.
You're harshing my mellow here. This is kind of weird.
You're harshing the... No, you're harshing... You don't harshen a mellow, Tristan. You harshen the buzz, and it makes you mellow. Oh, good God. Tristan never has a buzz. He sits there, it's like, man, I'm just mellow, and you're just harshing out my mellow.
Oh,
Tristan is always just mellow. Just, man.
Okay,
let's
stick to the movie, Matt.
All right, fine. But anyway, another thing, too, by the way, bringing up before I mentioned the Kamehameha, it was strange to see Goku kicking so much ass. Like, at first, it was okay, but he was kind of, like, struggling a bit. But at this point, he was fighting grunts, and it did look cool. But since they removed the training montages, it looks way too easy for Goku. Right?
Mm.
I know this movie's meant to be some good, harmless fun, and you don't want to, you have an hour and 20, but still, you would be wasting time on training montages, when I do think it flowed well as a continuous story of, like, crap, we're about to get hit here, and then we're about to get hit here, So, yeah, it made sense. It's just, by taking out the training montages, it feels like it's coming too easy to him, and I know that he's a fighter. I mean, he's a Saiyan, and we get that. I mean, I get that. I understand that I can understand if someone says that, but because I know you want to, but it still felt off to me. Where it was like, without any training whatsoever, he's really able to, like, kick all of this butt.
Yeah. Okay. I
Very
can believe that.
Yeah. So again, that's another reason why I don't want to give it like a perfect score. I understand, but it's And I'm not saying we should take like 20 minutes dedicated to training, because then you have to include Krillin, and then that's a whole other bag of worms. Because it would be, but still, because it would be training for a tournament, not really just general training. So I get it.
Yeah.
But
it's funny. Like, I didn't even really think about Krillin the entire movie, but yeah, they actually didn't add Krillin.
Well, because to add Krillin, you have to add a tournament. So they kind of understood, like, we can't really, and it's funny, because it's like, well, we added everyone else. Yes, but they were all made relevant before the tournament was relevant.
Yeah.
Because they all fought Pilaf together. So they just took the main villain being Pilaf, they kind of put him aside, made it the Red Ribbon Army, and kind of have it all tied together. So Krillin, while he could have been included, still it really would have felt weird, because he wouldn't have been, he would have been pre-trained. So Goku, he does have the benefit of being the main character. Right, to kind of, and also being a Saiyan, so he kind of gets that power-up advantage. Krillin, just being a normal human, there's a reason why everyone else kind of did their own little thing, but not necessarily fought one-on-one.
Right.
Yeah. But, by the way, it's really interesting. Seeing Commander Red, right, going to wish for his height, right, to become taller.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I get it. Being a short man myself, I get it. I mean, I'd want to wish for other things first, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I understand height being on the list, being very high on the list. So also, I don't need to really wish for this. Yeah. Go fuck yourself. I don't really need to wish for that. Yeah. I'll go to the fucking. You know what? Fuck it. I'll go to the Namekian dragon. I'll look up at him. It's just Dende's like, oh, do you need me to help? Nope. I've been studying this shit for a long time. Pollute no ta la blah. All of a sudden, fucking the subs get Tristan to fuck him. So, yeah, Tristan. Yeah, Tristan will just have him go fuck himself for all eternity.
Although, speaking of the ultimate go fuck yourself, I love the fact that General Black just shoots him right there.
But because of his height. Yeah.
It's
by
like,
the way,
you sacrificed our entire army because you wanted a few inches. A few feet! Boom. No second thoughts. He just blows him away immediately. I was like, good job. I'm like, not to commend murder or anything, but shit, I'm impressed.
What I think is funny is how crazy he went.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
no.
I mean,
I think here's why it's funny to me. I'm sorry, here's why it's funny to me. Everyone always says, well, absolute power corrupts absolutely. He didn't fucking have any power. He went crazy with no power.
Well, I mean, he did jump into the mecha, but...
No, but before the mecha, he shoots him and he's like, well, I guess he died on the way there. And I'm like, you have no power. You were just crazy.
Granted, serving as General Red's personal assistant probably knocked a few screws loose before then, and this was kind of like the final straw, I guess.
Pretty much,
I finally did it. I finally got rid of him, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just really funny, because you always think, like, well, it's the absolute power that did it. Not really. Not in this case.
No, it was the years of servitude to,
Yes, exactly.
An idiot.
Anyway, yeah, so basically. So Ader came back, right? Ader came to save the day, and then all of a sudden Ader's dead. And I'm like, well, fuck this movie. Because it was sad. I'm like, well, fuck this movie. It's like, fuck your house, fuck your kitchen, fuck your... Just like, I'm out. I'm done. I was going to be like, I'm not watching this anymore. And like it's interesting because it's like, what?
No, I just wanted to say that kind of brings back my point. Like, you know, Ader makes this whole spiel about, you know, no, I'm not Android 8. My name is Ader. Fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, you know, he's trying to hold off this giant mechanized terror away from his friend, and you actually really get the sense that Ader is his own person, you know, like an actual person, not just a mechanical monstrosity.
Yes, I agree. And you know, it's interesting because you know that, okay, you know he's going to come back to life because it's like, yeah, he died and there's Dragon Balls and stuff, so you understand it. But still, it's, you know, it's one of those things where you're sad regardless. You're just like, fuck it, I'm still
it was
sad.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah. And, you know, before we get to the end, though, I want to mention, when Goku did that power-up thing, I was like, so it's a 10th anniversary and everything, and I know it's only adapting the stuff that was in the manga at the time, but is he going to go Super Saiyan? Because I'm pretty sure he's going to go Super Saiyan about now.
That sounds like a Super Saiyan screen to me, if I ever heard one.
Yeah, no. Like, basically, it's like, and they did the same exact effects, just blue. So it was very interesting, where it's like they knew they had to choose a neutral color. You know, not red, because that's like sort of the evil color, or currently the god color, but they weren't thinking about that at the time. But it can, red and darker colors can be like the evil color, right? So it's like, we don't go for red. Yellow is obviously immediately out. You know, I'm sorry, let me rephrase this. Lighter red is Kaioken, of course, but like a darker red with like black tones is like the evil color that we see sometimes. Yeah, like maybe even purple a bit. Yellow is obviously Super Saiyan, right? So it's like, we can't go for these colors. Let's go for a nice blue. Yeah. You know, just because of the Kamehameha and everything. So we just go for a nice blue. But it was still the same effects for Super Saiyan. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. And I mean, it's funny because the whole idea of pain of loss that Goku always talks about when he was training Gohan in the hyperbolic time chamber, you know.
Right.
And I feel like even Goku's, you know, screaming at the death of his friend. You know, granted, if you think about it, it's like, oh, you know, yeah, he's screaming, but it kind of had a profound effect on me, because if you really think about it, it's like, that's the personification of the magnitude of the pain that he's feeling. I mean, shit, you even see the earth, like, collapse beneath him. Yeah. It's like, that's the physical representation of the pain that he feels. And granted, you can argue, it's like, but they just met. It's like, okay, it's the movie. Give him a break. You know, give him a break. It's like,
yeah, no. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
They had a nice bond as friends, and that's really something painful to lose.
Oh, yeah, no. I'll give you that. You know, I mean, like, it's interesting because the only reason why I'm cool with that, and I'm not saying that's rushed, right, is because, like, that is just how Goku is. He makes friends. You know, that I'm fine with. I'm fine with the whole making friends thing. It's his power level that, you know, I feel that way about. And general lack of training with it. You know, that's why I'm like, oh, it feels a little rushed, you know, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to him being his friend, I mean, that's that's his friend. You know, and
I feel
that's
like
who he is.
For the sake of power levels, you know, it was the movie, they had to rush things, and I feel like because it was the movie, they had to make, like, the finishing blow pretty flashy, so that's why his Kamehameha wave is so impressive. I mean, granted,
of course.
Me and you are both used, or me especially, are used to, you know, Z, so when he actually does, like, a decently charged Kamehameha wave, I was like, I'm cool with this. I'm fine with this. I really don't give a shit about power levels right now. I'm completely fine with this.
Oh, I thought you were going to go a different route. I thought you were going to be like, I've seen better.
No.
Right?
No.
Like, yeah.
No.
But,
each Kamehameha wave is unique, and I love it in its place in the series.
I'm happy that you feel that way. You Kamehameha, you what is it? You suitor. Like, you sit there, you're just like, oh, Yeah, you're an enthusiast, but you just sit there. No, but I feel like you sit there with like some people have fine wine, and they're like, that's a good year. You're looking at Kamehameha waves. That's a good year. That's an 87 right there.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking of that too. I mean,
my God.
Granted, when he does instant transmission Kamehameha, that's my favorite. But
I
won't
actually,
go
that's my favorite too. No, we're
my
not there.
Absolute
But that's
favorite.
my. Yeah, I mean because it comes out of anywhere, like literally anywhere, just right next to you. I was not expecting.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we're at the end of our show. I would like to thank all of you for listening to those guys. And, before we end it, I want to, do our whole social media thing that I always do. So, of course, we have ourselves.
One last thing, though.
Oh, please.
But, I mean, Matt, we've done it with the other Dragon Ball movies, so I figure we might as well keep it up. What would you rate it?
Oh, yes. I was going to mention that a bit after that. But thank you for bringing it up first. No, but it makes more sense to bring it up first. My rating is a 9. Because, again, I don't want to give it a perfect score, but it's pretty high up there, like with how good it was as an adaptation. I mean, if you're going to choose to use all of the footage, then it's like, well, then, you did it well, right? I mean, it's funny how we commented how all the other movies, we were like, oh, man, they use a little bit of footage to tie it in. This one uses all the footage. So I guess it's one of those things where you either feel disgusted because they used all the footage and it's not technically quote-unquote new, or you're happy that they just went all in, where it's like, if you're going to do it, just go all in. Or don't do it at all.
I mean, right? That's pretty much my feeling of it. Like, I'm just pretty much glad that they went all in, so I'd probably give it about a 9 or a 10.
Okay, fair enough. I understand that. So anyway, happy to hear that, right? So it's like, damn it, there's no clash. There's never a clash usually with two of us. But it's okay, right? Because it's just two of us talking about these movies, having a good time. But yeah, so again, I would like to thank you guys for listening to those guys, talking about some of our older shows, because we've done a lot of different shows here, right? I mean, not only have we done the Dragon Ball movies, as we've just wrapped up the last official animated Dragon Ball movie, right? Because even if we did Evolution, it's not animated, first off, and regardless of what you tell me, I consider it a fan work. No, not really, but it's still... But it still wasn't good. It still shouldn't be considered canon, and thankfully it isn't. Toriyama had the best quote, which was like, hey, imagine it like an alternate universe. And it's like, yeah, I would distance myself from it too, Toriyama. But anyway, so we've done a lot of different shows. We've done, different Dragon Ball movies. We've done Dragon Ball Z movies. We've done Bleach movies. We've also done pro wrestling. We've done WWE Monday Night Raw podcasts. We've done WWE pay-per-view podcasts. We've also done a lot of different animated shows as well. We've done Steven Universe. We've done Gravity Falls. We've done Black Dynamite. We've done Mike Tyson Mysteries. We've also done live-action stuff where we've done Gotham, Arrow, Flash, Supernatural, Doctor Who, The Walking Dead, and many more. We've also done video games, specifically the Pokemon video games. We've done a few of those as well. And, many more stuff that I can't think about off the top of my head. But if you want to see, or rather listen to any of those shows in our archives, you can check us out through Blog Talk Radio, blogtalkradio.com/thoseguysonthe-radio, or you can check out our website, which is thoseguysonthe-radio.tumblr.com, where we have our archives listed there as well. You can check out for any future shows that we do, because we definitely are going to do a show on Evolution next. It's going to be scary. It's going to be frightening. But I think it's going to be a ride. I'll say that much. For updates on shows like that, you check out our website, and you can also check out our Facebook, which is /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio, our Twitter, which is @ThoseGuysRadio, and our Instagram, which is /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio. Also, you can check out our iTunes account, our iTunes page, which if you go on iTunes and you look up Those Guys Radio or Those Guys on the Radio, you can check out some of our older shows as well. And our YouTube, which we are constantly updating, which is posted on some of our social media accounts. So you can go there to find our YouTube page. If that's how you consume media, you can find our podcasts on YouTube as well. And I think that's all. I think that's all of them. There's also our Gmail, though, before I finish up. And our Gmail, you can email us about any promotional opportunities. If you want us to promote your product or your show or your service, definitely contact us through our Gmail, which is thoseguysonthe-radio@gmail.com. And you can talk to us there about, different promotional opportunities. And you can also talk to us about different show ideas, right? Because, you may think, oh, I like this show. I wonder if those guys like this show. And we may. We might not talk about it on air, but we may. So definitely send us show ideas either through our website or through our Gmail, which again, thoseguysonthe@gmail.com. So, here we are, Tristan.
Here we are.
Have anything to say? Yes, have anything to say before we go?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. So we would like to thank you guys for listening to Those Guys.
Good night, everyone.
Geico presents sharing versus oversharing. Today, Bridget Griffin shared a video of her daily yoga routine, 2 self-help articles, and her new blog called Build Your Inner Bridge with Bridge. Girl, your sharing has turned into oversharing. No worries, Bridge. Geico has some info worth sharing with your 7 blog followers, like how you could save money on your car insurance, update your policy, and report a claim just by visiting geico.com. How's that for building your inner bridge? Bridge? Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. 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 On car insurance.